called The Future of Designing Healthy Habits and Workspaces. So for this keynote speaker, put yourself in someone else's shoes right now. Think about, have you ever thought about why people do what they do? Don't you sometimes think the way something is presented or communicated can make it more appealing or not? Today, we have the pleasure of seeing and hearing from someone who dedicates their life to serving others and who's a lifelong student themselves. This someone is not only a behavior designer, but a problem solver and a graphic designer. This person is Amy Zest of Behavior Design Media. Amy comes to us with a number of years of experience working in healthcare, digital marketing, grant-funded projects, and mental health. She's involved with entities such as Harvard Medical School and the American Heart Association. What stood out when doing research and learning about Amy is how she considers the needs and interests of all stakeholders and really focuses on taking research and packaging it to how it can be useful for our healthy habits. So with that said, this is Amy Zest of Behaviors by Design.
Hi, and thank you all for coming. I'm really honored to be part of this group here who's presenting to you today. And I'm honored to have a few minutes of your time this morning as well. And I hope that what you see here is super practical. And just as some of our other panelists have acknowledged, people sometimes get, these big ideas in their minds for new habits that they want to put into their lives. And then they come down to how. And that is some of what I would love to tell you about this morning. So, and one thing about habits to keep in mind always is you don't have to be perfect. And you have plenty of freedom to revise, always. So in that spirit, yes, I am a graphic designer, but I also wanted to be able to give people some face contact this morning. So I've done some imperfect drawings here that I'm going to share with you, but I also have a presentation I'll switch to just a little bit. But this morning, I would love for you to think about, let's imagine that you have a magic wand, and I just so happen to have one here this morning. And if you could put into the box or container of your life any behaviors that you wanted, if you could get yourself to do anything, what is it that you would do? And you're welcome to put that into the chat. And I'll tell you a little story about me. So one thing that I was in Junior Olympics a long time ago. And so I did sprinting and the 100 and the 440 and 220 and hurdles. And for a long time in my adult life, I so missed being an athlete. And then I decided in about probably 2002 that I was going to be an athlete again. And I trained and ran a half marathon. I did pretty well in it. I had never been a distance runner before. And I loved being back into the athlete realm. And then I had to have back surgery. I had some really sad things happen in my life, and I got out of it. But I had used this Nike Plus running app for a long time. And I had all this data and had, all my records, my personal best was all logged in this app. So I kept the app on my phone because since 2011, I have wanted to go back to running again, and I could never bring myself to delete the app, and I still wanted it to give me those notifications. Well, about and then I was also saying, I'm a behavior designer. Why is it that I cannot get myself to get back into running and athletics like I really want to? And I know it's so good for my mental health, but still all I'm really doing is walking the dogs, which, that's okay, it's good. But I got this beautiful notification that was sent to my phone. And it said this: imagine how good you would feel after 1 minute of running with Coach Bennett. Now, Coach Bennett does these guided runs on the Nike Plus app. I don't work for Nike. I just love the product. And Coach Bennett is someone that I love and has motivated me to do many things and has talked me through many things, even though he doesn't know me. I think he has a great take on behavior and behavior design. So I saw that app, and as a behavior designer, I was like, that is a genius prompt. They are reminding me of something I already want to do. They're saying 1 minute. Imagine how good I would feel after 1 minute of running with Coach Bennett. So then I touched the notification, and what I expected was for the notification to expand. Well, instead, as soon as I touched it, it opened my Nike Plus running app with a big start button right there in the middle. And I was like, I'm already outside because I had gone to take out the trash. There's a big start button. It says start, and it said start 1 minute run. And there was part of me, even as a behavior designer, and even though I know better than this, part of me felt like 1 minute is so inconsequential. But the other part of me thought, I can do 1 minute. Well, I ran the 1 minute. The coaching through the 1 minute was so great. It was saying, today you push the start button and we are celebrating that. Let's go. You got it. You're already halfway through this. Oh, it's time for the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I want you to put your hands up in the air and celebrate this moment. And that felt so good to me. And it was so encapsulating of everything that I do professionally, and brought back so much enthusiasm for behavior design, because I thought that is what it is. It is doing the small thing that's more than you did the day before. It is allowing yourself to celebrate, and it is also putting placeholders in your lives for new habits. Well, the next day I looked on the app, and sure enough, there was more 1 minute opportunities for 1 minute runs. There were 5 minute runs. There were 7 minute runs. There were 12 minute runs, 15 minute runs, 1 mile, 1K, the run that you don't want to do run. And it was only about 15 days before I was able to get back to running 3.5 miles. And that was absolutely not what I expected. I expected that it would take me months. And then I also kind of unpacked some of the reasons why I hadn't done it before. And it was that I didn't want to bring my averages down. And at that moment, I decided, I'm getting a little teary-eyed here, because I decided that this is the story of my life. This is what's happening now. I've had surgery, I've had loss, I've had changes in marital status that I didn't want to do. And this is where I am now. So I need to give myself the kindness and acceptance that I would give to any other person in this situation. And sorry, I didn't mean to do this. And to be grateful and feel the gratitude and feel the acceptance that we all deserve for doing the best that we can with what we have today. So that is how I'd like to start us today, is thinking about the habits that you want in your life can be yours. And we have here's some science-backed little drawings here. There's really only 3 ways that we can change long-term. And one way is that we can have an epiphany. Now, I work with Harvard Medical School, American Heart Association, and even, these communities of researchers who have a lot of information. It can be easy for them to think, because we're so steeped in information, that if we just tell people what to do, they will have an epiphany, they will see the light, and they will want to do what it is that we're advising. But surely anyone who has watched the news has seen that sometimes epiphanies don't stick. Sometimes people have, a frightful encounter, and for a few minutes, they'll do, take some protective measures, and then they won't. So a lot of times our perception of risk or our perception of what we need to do to be safe is a more emotional decision than it is an intellectual decision. So don't make that mistake with yourself and think that the reason I haven't changed in the way I want to is that I just haven't had an epiphany enough and I need to keep looking through Wikipedia, because it might work. It works in about 2 to 3% of the time that someone has an epiphany and it makes a long-term change. I'll give you a little personal example of one that I had. I was working on something called, that I ended up calling Life Simple 7, and it is something that the American Heart Association has used for about 15 years. But in coming up with that, I was combing through all this research that had been given to me that said, these are really important and we need to make a thing out of this. And so, Amy, will you please look through all the research and tell us what it should be? And I realized that if, based on all this copious research that I had to comb through, that if people will take care of 7 health measures up until about age 50, the likelihood of them living until they're 92, free of heart attack and free of stroke, is about 93%. So, and it's, your smoking status, your blood pressure, your cholesterol, your physical activity, your weight. Anyway, it's keeping those measures into a healthy range. And if you can do that until age 50, the likelihood that you will live till 92 without a stroke or a heart attack is about 93% chance positivity. So I had an epiphany at that moment, and I think I was in my 40s at the time. It was like, I've made it so far being in this, the ideal category. If I just make it a little while longer, the likelihood that the number 1 and number 2 causes of death will not happen to me until I'm well into my 90s is actually really high. So that was an epiphany. But epiphanies are not something that most people can make happen for themselves. So let's think about what else we can do. We can design our environment. So just imagine if you had to swap out all the chairs and couches in your home for a trampoline, okay? Different behaviors would happen in that environment. So I'd like you just to take just a minute and look around your immediate environment and think about what behaviors is that environment designed to support. Feel free to put it in the chat if you'd like to. But as I look around my environment, it is obviously designed for Zoom. It is designed if I need to take quick notes. It is designed for, I have a sit and stand desk. So it's, I see someone said, being able to sit at a computer all day. So that may be what your environment is designed for. About 40% of long-term changes happen because of environment change. We had a big environment change. Good, I like all these, environment for typing on dual screens, right? So it may be designed to facilitate the behaviors that you want, or you may not have ever stepped back and look at your environment to say, how is my environment supporting the behaviors that I want? We had a 5-bedroom house and 4 baths, and kids are living with us all the time. And then the kids have grown and gone to do their thing. So we decided to downsize, and environment for our home was really important to me, because I knew that if I didn't choose a home that made walking easy to do, the likelihood was very high that I would not go out and walk. So your environment will be designed, and there will be some obstacles and barriers in your environment. And then there will be some things that you have made easy to do, and some things that are easy to do by default. And so they're not the ones that you necessarily want to happen. So I really encourage everyone to take an inventory of your space. And I'm going to show you an image right now of 2 TV watching environments. So on the top one, think about what this environment is designed to do. So yes, there's the TV here, and the space is clean. There's plenty of space around her, so that all the time that she's watching TV, she has the ability to move and do the behaviors that she wants. Now let's look here at this young man. The behaviors so notice how there are some behaviors that are much more difficult to do. Even if this kiddo here wanted to get up and move while he was watching TV, it would be hard to do. So the likelihood is not very high that he hasn't made it where he can have the ability to do other behaviors besides sit. It's very comfortable. He's got snacks at the ready. So think about your environment and how your environment supports the behaviors that you do or don't want, and where you can change that. Because when we're looking to change behaviors, in my embracing my imperfection, the hasty here, think about what you can do to change your environment, because that accounts for about 40% of long-term change. We had something that turned out to be a lot easier than I thought. So my husband is a fantastic cook, and we have an outdoor kitchen, and he cooks every single night. He also likes to deep fry things. He's a big meat eater, and we both realized that this is probably not a good plan long-term for our nutrition. So we decided, okay, we're going to change the environment of our refrigerator. We took out, cleaned it all out first, then got some clear tubs so that we could see everything, and then kept salad fixings, fresh salad. And so cut up cucumbers, cut up bell peppers, artichokes, olives, edamame, walnut, pecans, fresh lettuce. So the whole refrigerator is redesigned for that. So what we've done is we've made it easy to do salad. So he can still cook his protein outside. And my job is to make salads for each of us. And we fill about half of our plate with salad. And then the other half, we can put the things that he likes and wants to cook. And we feel better. We started doing that before the pandemic, but it has definitely made it where our dining at home is much healthier. And we now find that even if we get takeout food from a restaurant, it doesn't settle as well, because we've gotten used to eating very healthy food. But my point here is making it easier to do meant that this change in our behavior patterns was easy and almost unnoticeable, and it was beautiful. The salads are really pretty. They look good on the plate. We sit down and we have this feeling that we're nourishing ourselves, and we are planning for our future, taking care of our future selves, showing compassion for, where we are right now and for what our needs are. And all that is subtle. It's not like we state that, but it was painless. Once we got the tubs, it looks nice. Every time we open the refrigerator, it's a reminder of what it is that we are planning and designing our nutrition around. And so I encourage you to recognize that sometimes making a one-time change in your environment, buying all the tubs, figuring out what goes in them. We made little labels for them. So if we run out of it, then we know that, oh yeah, we sometimes like sunflower seeds and that little tub is empty. So it was an easy change. It was a painless shift. Didn't take willpower. It didn't really take a lot of motivation. It took a one-time decision that wasn't overthought, which I sometimes do, overthink things. So take a good look at your environment. Now, the third thing is take small steps. And that accounts for about 60% of long-term change. I don't make money off this book, Tiny Habits, but I am a contributor to it. And I had to search something on a Kindle and saw that my name's in there 85 times. So some of these stories are in the book, Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg, who is a friend and has been a mentor to me since 2013. So I encourage you, if you like to get some more how-to, it's a great book, if I do say so myself, and Amazon has it listed as the top business and time management book for 2020. But I share that to say that there are a whole lot of strategies and a whole lot of tiny habits in there, and a whole lot of support for why go tiny. So now this is the most sciencey thing I'm going to show you this morning, or this afternoon, whatever it is for you. So this is called the Fogg behavior model. It is from BJ Fogg, and he teaches us at Stanford. It has made millionaires of many people who have taken his classes, and have not always used it for, so sometimes they've used it to create an empire in social media. But we are going to use it for good, and that is why BJ took me on to be my mentor, is because of the commitment to use it for good and to share it with people like you who could use it and are motivated and able to do that. So on this side, we have motivation, and it goes from high to low. And on this side, we have ability, and it goes from hard to do to easy to do. And this is the action line right here. So this is really important. Behavior happens when motivation, ability, and a prompt come together at the same time. And this is true of all behavior. So motivation and ability are a trade-off. The more motivation you have to do something, the more you can do hard things. And the easier something is to do, you don't have to have very much motivation to do it. So with our refrigerator, I'm not always motivated to make a salad, but I've made it so easy that, I open the refrigerator, 3 minutes, throw all the stuff in there because I've already got it all cut up. It looks pretty in there, and I don't have to think about it, and I don't have to have a big, overwhelming motivation to eat healthy for the rest of my life. And when you're trying to design behaviors that will happen reliably for the rest of your life, that is the most challenging of behavior scenarios. So the trick is making it as easy as you can to do it. So think about times whenever maybe, just imagine, let's say you're checking out at the grocery store and they say, do you want to, give $2 for breast cancer research? Sure. It's easy. I don't have to go do something. I don't have to log in anywhere. They're just going to touch one button and it's going to automatically add to the charge that I'm about to make. And my motivation is definitely high enough to do that. I don't dislike anyone who's doing breast cancer research, and I've worked for most of the ones who are doing breast cancer research, and my sister had a double mastectomy just late last year. So yes, it's easy to do. It doesn't matter if I'm in a hurry. They're only asking for $2. So the likelihood that it's going to happen is very high. Yes, I have the motivation. Yes, I have the ability. The prompt is just at the grocery store, it's factored in. So yes, I'm going to do it. Now, if they said to me, would you like to sign up to run a marathon for breast cancer? I do have a lot of motivation to do that, and I do care about it a lot, but I don't have that ability today, probably. Or I know that or I might have a competing motivation that I suspect that I would probably get injured if I tried. So finding ways to design your habits so that they're easy to do. Now, I encourage anyone to type in their doubts or reasons why you wouldn't want to choose a tiny habit for yourself. And I'm going to give you some examples of tiny habits. Let's do after. After I close down my computer, I will take one deep breath and imagine sweeping out the computer stuff for the day. Okay, so I'm putting fear of failure. Or here's another tiny habit. After I start walking toward the bedroom, I will put my phone on the charger, not in my bedroom. But yes, okay, so forgetting in the moment, fear of failure. There are a lot of us who are afraid to do a tiny habit because we're afraid that that it'll be too small and too insignificant and that we don't deserve to just celebrate that little small thing. So I encourage you to let go of that. And I really strongly encourage you to let go of that and to design tiny. And the reason is because tiny is what works no matter how your life changes, no matter how much time you have or how much money you have. Here are 6 things that can 6 things that you want. There are 6 simplicity factors. So as you're designing a habit, you want it to be quick, cheap, easy, basic, not require a lot of thought. You want it to basically fit into your routine and be fairly socially acceptable. So once you have all of those things, then you know that your habit is tiny and that you...
Something she's saying.
Hello? Okay. So once you have those 6 things, okay, sorry about the little audio glitch there, but having those 6 factors in place will help you design tiny. And that's what you want to do to be successful. Just like the 1-minute run from Coach Bennett, that was so tiny that I knew I could do it, even though I had not I hadn't done a run in 7 years, but I could do a 1-minute run. And I have been able to do that for the last 6 weeks. And I am so pleased. And there are some days when I make myself stop. I'm kind of obsessive compulsive. I like even numbers. Let's say I either ran 5 miles or I ran 45 minutes or So for me, making tiny habits is a really good exercise in embracing the moment, embracing what I can do now. And here's an important thing, designing my habits so that I will want to repeat it tomorrow. And you may not realize it, but if you say, I'm going to do 50 push-ups, after I wash my hands, I'm going to do, 50 push-ups, or after I get by the sink, I'm going to do 50 push-ups. Setting the goal that high, it is unlikely that you will keep it because there will be times you'll be too rushed or too in a hurry. But saying, after I get to the sink, I'll lean over the sink and do 2 wall push-ups and then wash my hands. That's a recipe that could work because it's easy. You can get it into your mind. It hooks in with something you already do. So it's paired into your environment. Washing your hands can become the prompt to do the thing that you also want to do next. Or maybe even you want to think, washing my hands, I'm going to have a moment of gratitude in my life. So there are many, many ways to design tiny habits that will actually change your life and become reliable to you for the rest of your life. And that is the way to do it, is to go tiny, let it grow, but give yourself the grace and the freedom to respond to the challenges of each day and just get those little anchors and seeds planted throughout your day. And that is the secret to keeping yourself where you have some stability and some habits that you can rely on, knowing they will take you forward. Thank you.
What's up, Mrs. West, Mrs. Vest? Thank you very much for that. That was so amazing. You had me emotional as well. I started to tear up, and I'm with you all the way. I thank you for your contributions today. Tiny habits is the basis of the conversation today and being able to accomplish those things. I'm a nutritionist, and when I meet with clients, my advice to them is, how much weight do you want to lose? They're like, I want to lose 100 pounds. And my concept to them is, don't think of 100 pounds, think about 5 or even just 1 pound. You know, start with the smallest habit possible, or the smallest goal possible. And once you've reached that goal, you've set the boundaries of what you can accomplish. And so your conversation is very, 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 very timely. You also spoke about you don't have to be perfect. I thank you for that, because sometimes when we get into a routine of doing things or wanting to accomplish some wellness goal, we always think we have to be perfect, but you don't have to be perfect. And I thank you for that.